Cooking Crave, brought to you by ENG Lending, your area's #1 choice for home loans. 456loan.com.
Hi, I'm Rhonda Fitterer.
And I'm Laverne.
And today we have a show where we're going to feature 4 different recipes of no-bake protein bars. I know you can go out and purchase protein bars, but we're going to show you some really quick and easy recipes for you to make right in your own home that are nutritious and cost effective.
Very much so.
All right, Mom, where do you want to get started today?
Well, we'll just start right down here on the end here. And this is called a no-bake chocolate protein bar. And I just went out to one of the stores and I picked up a box of protein bars. You know, it was $6.94. You know, once you have ingredients, you know, like your protein and your other things, chia seeds or whatever you might use, you buy them in bulk, you're going to be able to make quite a few recipes. So it's, like Rhonda said, very cost effective. Great.
Right, and there's only 6 bars in this box. So
there's only 6 bars, so just knowing how much more it is. And these are no bake. It takes just a few moments to, a couple of minutes to put them together. Put them in the fridge, and you can cut them and serve them. The kids are going to love them after school. Take them to work. And it's good for us all to have that extra protein during the day. So.
Well, absolutely. I mean, you get that little kick from protein. It's going to last you over till dinner.
Yes.
A little bit better than always the candy that happens, or the cookies.
Okay. These are called no-bake chocolate protein bars.
Okay.
And all of the ingredients are really easy. We're going to start with, it says 3 tablespoons of honey. So I already have everything pre-measured here.
And as our viewers are going to notice, most of these recipes have like ingredients. They have 1 or 2 different things that make them different or are going to make them their own.
Yes, definitely. So that was 3 tablespoons of honey, and it says a 1/2 cup of milk. Okay. Some of these things, the wet ingredients you're going to just put in the microwave and heat it up just to blend it and make it smooth, and then you put your dry ingredients in. And so then we're going to use, I believe it's a cup of peanut butter?
1 cup of peanut butter, yep.
Okay. So it's the peanut butter and the honey that we're going to mix together and just put it in the microwave for about 25 seconds.
And with these recipes, they're not specifying if it's a creamy peanut butter or a chunky peanut butter. I think it's your choice of what you like, what your family prefers.
Yeah. And it's easy to do either one, right?
Yeah.
Like you said. So let's just mix this up here.
And I know that we have some pre-made for everybody that's come to see us at the show so they can sample. But do you put these in the refrigerator? They take a long time to set up once you've made them.
They do not. I put them all in the refrigerator when I was done, just to be able to have them set up so it was easy to cut.
Okay.
And that. So there's one that I believe does say store in the refrigerator, but it's easy just to do that. So put that in for about 25 seconds. And like we talked about, now every one of these does have peanut butter in it. So you do have any peanut butter allergies or whatever like that, it's not going to be such a good idea. But protein bars, most of them are going to have that peanut butter because that's where we're getting a lot of our protein from.
Absolutely,
and
yes.
So we're going to do that. So then we're going to add some oatmeal. And because this is a chocolate, we're going to have 2 scoops of chocolate protein powder in there.
Okay.
So it's, I believe 5 ingredients. Very easy, and it almost tastes like, the kids come home and instead of having that cookie or...
Actually, they take like cookies. Oatmeal cookies, they're obviously sugar, but they got some protein in there, or good stuff too, but...
Okay. So that's just nice and creamy where we can blend that up well. So I'm going to use, I believe it says 2 scoops of protein there.
Yes, two scoops of chocolate protein powder.
Yeah. Okay. So I'm going to put that there, mix that up a little bit. And then I'm going to put the cup of oatmeal in.
And you can buy different, I mean, this is just regular oatmeal. You didn't do anything special with this.
I did not. You know, it's just oatmeal that I did buy at the grocery store there.
Okay.
And for this one, I am not using the instant, you know, or quick oatmeal that only takes a minute to cook. I like the little, you know, one that takes maybe about 5 minutes, I believe it is, that it takes to cook. You get a little bit more base with that. You know, the oatmeal stays firm and stuff, so.
Okay.
So this is all it is going to be. You're going to mix this up and just, put it in there. And I've got some parchment paper in here. And I found it very easy, rather than greasing your pan, put wax paper, parchment paper in so that you can take the paper out, put it on the table, cut it. So much easier.
Sure.
And then when you do that, what I would do is then wrap it individually. If you want some bars for on the go, you're going to want to wrap them. Put them in some plastic wrap or whatever. So this is the one that too, it's a little bit creamier. I would keep this one stored in the refrigerator.
Okay.
So I'm going to just put that in here.
Well, the ingredients are a little bit warm just from having it in the microwave as well.
Yes. And it doesn't take much, like you saw, that we just a few minutes to put all that together, and you have that particular protein bar ready. So what I'm going to do is just give me some wax paper, and I want to just spread that down in there, and I'll just push it down with the wax paper. And that, just to even that out, to make it flat so that you can have nice even bars. And all of these were easy to store. It spreads out very easily.
And like my mom said, just to take these out and be able just to cut it on a cutting board is very easy there.
Right. It makes that nice. So I'll just leave that in here now. And so that was one of them. So how easy that's going to be. And we're going to have samples of each and every one that we're making here at the end of the show. And that. With the protein bars, there's not so many different ingredients. I'm going to just use the same bowl and just keep on going.
Keep on going.
Yeah. So this one here again is the no-bake oatmeal protein bar. And we're going to, this one uses almond butter.
Okay.
And, you know, and stuff. So that's great. And again, I just went to the local grocery store and they have the almonds there where you can grind and make your own almond butter. I did that. So then it calls for 3/4 cup. I measured 3/4 cup. And that's what I took. I didn't, you know, if you want more, awesome. But if you don't, you know, you can take exactly how much you want rather than buying a jar and stuff. So that worked out well.
Especially when you're trying new recipes, not knowing if that's going to be a family favorite for you, trying something like that first, and then if you do like it, then buy more in bulk.
Okay. So it was the 3/4 cup almond butter, and then it asks for a 1/4 cup of honey.
Honey's one of my favorite ingredients.
Yeah. So it gives that sweetener, that natural sweetener without processed sugar.
Right.
And that's what we're wanting. So we're going to just take this and we're just going to heat that up so we can blend that together.
Okay, about 20 seconds.
Yes. And we're not bringing that to a boil. We don't need to cook it for a certain amount. You're just wanting to make it soft enough so you can stir it, and your other ingredients are going to go mix well with it. So nothing has to be a certain amount of time or whatever, just that it's warm. And like we said, you know, why pay that amount of money for protein bars when you can get them? And I went on the internet just looking for protein bars, and there is tons of recipes for protein bars on the internet. Just go out there, look for them, see what you think you're going to like, the best, and You can print out your recipes. But I was really, really surprised the variety of protein bars that there were on the internet.
Yeah.
So
I probably would suggest not eating a whole pan at once, though.
probably not.
Cause some issues.
Yeah. So we just mix those up. And all of these have just very few ingredients. Now we got the almond butter in there. Now we're going to add 1.5 cups of oatmeal. You know, and one thing I did find that this oatmeal that takes a little, like 5 minutes to cook, you have more substance in here. So you don't want to, when it says 1.5 cups, I would stay with 1.5 cups because then your wet ingredients are not going to be enough. It's going to make them harder to stick together. So 1.5 cups of oatmeal. I'll just mix that up a little bit. And then it has a 1/4 cup of chocolate chips. And I did use the dark chocolate. You can easily find the dark chocolate chips, and it's great, you know. You have a little bit more, I think, nutrient in the dark than your milk chocolate. So.
And you have regular sized chocolate chips too. You certainly can buy the minis if that's something that you prefer as well.
And when I was looking, I didn't find, and maybe I just didn't look right or whatever, to find the minis in the dark chocolate.
Okay, in the semi-sweet?
They'll have the semi-sweet, but not the completely dark. But the semi-sweet would be just fine too. Okay. And yeah, because this takes a little bit more to mix there, because like I said, you want to make sure that you just have your beans there. So let's put the chocolate chips in there. And again, I've got like a 9x9 or 8x9 pan. And when I did make these that first time, and really finding that you don't want to sometimes, I have a little bit of a 1/4 cup left of oatmeal in my box. Put it in. Don't do that. Because
unless you want to just add a little bit of the wet ingredients to it.
Right. You can add a little bit more honey or anything like that. So this one here now, we're just going to pour that in here again, and we're just going to flatten this one out. And I haven't worked with almond butter before, but I think it would be quite a nice ingredient to use for a lot of, recipes.
Sure.
And that has a little bit more protein and more food value than just regular. So again, we just take it and push it down, and it doesn't say in all of these to store in the fridge, but I think I would. It just
if they last that long.
Yeah, if they last long enough. That's so we got. So the next one here is, it says a no-bake, again, peanut butter protein bar. This one has a few more ingredients, and we don't need to actually cook any of the wet ingredients.
Okay.
With this
it was just
one.
the first two recipes that we had to heat up.
Yes, right. So we're going to start with, it says 2 tablespoons of maple syrup, and I did have some pure maple syrup in my cupboard yet, but if you don't, I think you could get by with just regular maple syrup if you don't want to just buy the bigger container for the maple syrup.
Sure.
Okay. And then it has the honey in it. And how much honey is that, Rhonda?
We have a 1/4 cup of honey.
Okay. And then another wet ingredient was, it asks for a tablespoon of grapeseed oil. I do not have grapeseed oil. So I went on the internet and I Googled it, and I says, what substitute can you use for grapeseed oil? Because, I don't have it in the...
If you haven't cooked with it yet, I don't
yeah.
know the chances of you going to cooking with it too often in the future.
Right, to use it. And it says, the canola oil, your avocado oils, you have walnut oils. All of those, it said, you could use in substitute of grapeseed oil. And when I made this here different, you know, if you use walnut oil, of course you're going to have a little more nutty flavor. But I just used canola oil, and it worked out great. So
Sure.
just know that you don't always have to make exactly what your recipe says. You know, Google it. That's what that's out there for. Have that, and then we're going to put in our peanut butter. And how much peanut butter was that, Rhonda? Was that a half a cup?
We have a half a cup, and this does ask for creamy peanut butter, so this would be a recipe that I would probably stick with the creamy.
Yeah. And I have found if you, with chunky, if you ever use chunky, and I usually just buy the creamy, but I always have peanuts, so I can chop some peanuts and put it in there.
Sure.
There's no reason. And it really isn't making a difference in your flavor.
It's more of a texture thing, and
Yes. See, and this one calls for,
it actually ironically calls for chopped peanuts.
it does,
So
a fourth,
I don't know why you couldn't use chopped.
yeah, a 4th teaspoon cinnamon. And I like that cinnamon flavor in this one really well. And this recipe, you can kind of substitute or do whatever you like. It asks for dried fruits. So if you like, I've got craisins here, dried cranberries, blueberries, any apricots, any dried fruits. You know, you can use
Right.
whatever you like or whatever you have in your cupboard. So we'll mix that up. Okay, so now this one calls for 2 teaspoons, or it actually says 2 scoops of protein powder. When you purchase protein powder, it just says like 2 scoops of protein powder, and that's what you're going to use.
And so we had used chocolate in that first recipe over there. What is this, just a basic vanilla, or what kind of flavoring do we have here?
Yeah, this is just a vanilla
Okay.
protein powder. So we're going to put that there. Because I know that there's that recipe too that we're going to,
To use the vanilla for?
yes.
Okay.
And this one does ask for wheat germ, and I got that here.
So this actually does make a larger, we're going to put this in a 9 by 13. It's a bigger serving
Yes.
size that we're making
Yeah.
here.
So 2 tablespoons of wheat germ. I did find going to the grocery store, and when you're going there to look for, like I bought flaxseed, chia seeds, and with this ground flaxseed here, be sure you look in your aisles, because I went to the organic aisle, and there's a couple of different brands. Now I found that with the flaxseed, one brand that I picked up was like $7. And I thought, oh, that's a little spendy. And there was a store person, clerk there, and we talked, and she says, over here, we have some more. And went over, and this organic bag was $2.99. So it was the difference in your brands, and that's going to be just fine. It's organic. So when you go to there, look a little further than just picking up the first thing you see, because there is choices.
You know, I think you have a job one day of just being a professional shopper, Mom. Right?
Well, yes.
There's a bargain to be had. You're going to find it.
Well, if I don't, it's not for lack of trying.
I know.
Okay. So, and this one had called for puffed cereal.
Okay.
Growing up, you went and bought a big bag of puffed cereal. It was puffed wheat, puffed rice. Do you know I went to every store in town? Nobody had puffed wheat.
Huh.
They don't have that in a bag.
So where'd you buy it?
Well, it says puffed cereal, so what I did was I got puffed rice.
Okay.
And you know, I only found that in one store at Cashwise, that they had a bag of the puffed rice. But you know, growing up, that was a staple cereal because it was cheaper and they come in the big bags. I was really surprised that they didn't have it.
You haven't bought it lately, obviously.
No, I haven't. And when I was asking at the store, the gal says, well, maybe you need to go online. But I thought, I'm not going online to buy groceries. So I didn't. So we got the puffed rice. It calls for 2 cups of puffed rice.
You want me to throw it in?
Yep. And again, you know, I think it's the cereal, like the puff, that absorbs more moisture. So again, it was like, don't add more than the recipe says. And we'll put in the oatmeal. And we can also just mix up, we've got the 1/2 cup peanuts and a 1/2 cup of craisins. And what I did, you know, with the craisins, I did take the food chopper and chop them up a little bit. A little smaller than what craisins are.
Sure. And it would really depend, I think, of if you're going to roll these on balls, how big those balls are. If you want to, like you said, chop them up. If you're going to have them a little bit bigger, you might not need it as much.
Right. And this one here, again, it was took a little bit to mix to get, you know, all that peanut butter and oil mixed up in there, but it really worked well. So what we're going to do is, oh, we still have time to make sure. Okay.
We're good.
And this one here had just said, put in a 9 by 13 pan. So that's the one we want there. And because you're not baking any of this and you're just going to store it in the refrigerator, Tupperware, I mean, the Tupperware things were just perfect because you have lids, easy to put in the fridge and stack. Okay. Okay, so that's pretty good there. So we're going to pour that in there. And once you press that down, it really makes some nice bars. Okay. And I don't know if we need there, because we're going to make the next one, so we're going to scrape that out pretty good. And then you're going to just take another piece of wax paper and just go ahead and press it down. So like we talked, with all of these recipes, they got the peanut butter and honey and everything. So it's kind of nice. Don't have to wash bowls in between.
Right, it's the same. Well, and depending on which one you like, you may not be making as many of these in a row as like we are. But
right, yes, absolutely. So let's press them down and store
I'll
that.
press these down if you want to start on the next one.
Okay. So this one here was submitted by one of your co-workers, was it not?
Yep, Brittany Wentz. She brings some fabulous bars and everything to work when we have days that call for a potluck. And I asked her if she had any recipes for tried and true protein, and she came up with this one, and she liked it. Yeah, great. That we always appreciate all those submitted recipes and stuff. So, and again with this one here, it asks for a 1/2 cup of your wet ingredients. Is going to be your peanut butter, a honey, and a little bit of vanilla extract. But there isn't a lot of wet ingredients, and this one only you're using 1 cup of oatmeal. So you can see where you don't need that much. Okay. So, making sure I get all this in the right order. Rhonda, you just let me know what I need. We need a cup of oats, or we're going to start with the wet ingredients first. Honey, 1/3 cup of honey, actually.
Yes. Okay. Okay.
And we got a 1/2 cup of peanut butter.
Okay. And when you're at home, you won't have all these dishes because you're not going to pre-measure to put it together. So it's kind of easy, you know, you having all those ingredients out. And actually this one here, it's just the peanut butter and the honey.
Okay.
Okay. Okay. Now on the recipe, well, we're going to put a teaspoon of vanilla in. There.
And we've used, for people that have watched our show before, they've seen us use both the powder vanilla and the wet vanilla. And I know that when you talk about the powder vanilla, it just gives it's a stronger vanilla flavor.
It's a little bit more, so yes. I really like that when I make like whipped cream, my own home whipped cream. I put that in there. You don't have the more moisture in there.
Right.
I like the dry really well. Now this one here, I believe it says...
That's the chia seed.
Is it just two
tablespoons? It's 1 tablespoon.
Okay, 1 tablespoon. And it says optional. But you know, I went online there too to check. Chia seeds has a lot of protein and a lot of omegas in there. So very beneficial. So and again, I bought this in bulk. So it was easy enough I didn't have.
Sure.
And I thought, well, if it's got that much protein in, I don't want
Well, it's a tablespoon. I don't think you're really going to taste it, are you?
No, you don't taste it at all. But you're going to get the protein and the value.
Get the benefits of it.
Absolutely. And that's what you want.
And we got a cup of oats.
And we'll put that in there. And then it asks for a cup of chocolate chips and there we go. Okay.
Or was that
we did use, I just brought that bag along,
gotcha.
you know, just to let...
It doesn't go in this recipe.
No, that the viewers know that there is options out there. This one did, made a little bit more moisture to it, or the ingredients, so it stuck together a little bit better, which I like, but yet it was very good, so doesn't take a lot to mix up. And the 2 recipes that I had that were a little bit more wet ingredient, those I like putting in the fridge and having them firm. So.
Well, when you put them in the fridge, it was just like you said earlier. This makes them easier to cut as well.
Yes. Okay. And when the kids come home, where do they go? They look in the fridge.
Right.
So let's have them in the fridge so that they can just grab a bar or 2 there. So.
Maybe not label them protein bars. They might go after them a little bit better.
That's a lot. There you go. And then we'll press that in there. And again, I had a Tupperware that worked well. And have my great-granddaughter, I shouldn't say great-grand.
No.
She's great, but she's not a great-great-granddaughter. Addison Fitterer, which is Rhonda's daughter. She's going to put some samples out on napkins, and you'll be able to have a sample of each to taste and see once what you like. Now, the last one we did make, your coworker again, I'm sorry.
Brittany Wentz.
Brittany. She had these like in energy balls. So you can make them in little balls, but definitely you want to refrigerate the mixture before you do the balls. But I thought, it is so easy to just put it in the pan.
And cut them too.
Why take your time making the balls? Just put them in a pan.
Well, I mean, it's a fun activity when you do, if you want to include your children in it too,
right.
Depending on how young or old they are.
Enjoy doing that too. So.
Absolutely. So again, just go to Consolidated's website, consolidatednd.com, to get these recipes. And please, if you have recipes of any nature that we could cook for the show and share with our viewer audience, we'd love to do that. I know in the intro it said we were doing this a little over 9 years. Actually, it was 10 years in December, so we're going close to 11 years doing this. Yeah. And it's not always easy coming up with new recipes every week. So please submit your recipes. We'd love to share those with everyone. And thank you so much for joining Cook & Crave. Join us next week when we do it all over again.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you.